Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is our American energy segment. The United States is poised to become a net exporter of natural gas by as early as 2018 and the world's top oil producer by 2020. Let me repeat that. We are going to be the world's top oil producer by 2020, ahead of Saudi Arabia and Russia, despite the war on energy being sought by the regime and political activists. That's an amazing statistic that I don't think a lot of Americans are aware of, because if you just go back 10 years, it was a completely different scenario. I know this is the heart of your business. What's going on with American energy?
We were down to 3.5 million barrels of oil per day just 5 years ago. We're now at 8.5. Remember, 3.5, 8.5 now. The numbers you said were not only correct, but I think relatively conservative and doable.
Let me ask you a question. I didn't need to jump in, but
sure.
If we go back 10 years and the numbers are the same, do we not get involved in Iraq?
I don't think one had another. What we should have done, if we were going to get involved in Iraq as we did, the stupidity of George W. Bush, who I don't have any regard for at all. He was a very nice man. He was not a beast like the guy we have in the White House now, but he was not smart. We should have taken over the oil fields at the time.
We didn't get a drop.
It was our blood and our money that we didn't take a drop. We should have taken them over at the time. But be that as it may.
So do you think that it was just, Saddam Hussein had a run-in with his father, George H.W. Bush, in the first Gulf War, going into Kuwait and trying to take over the oil fields
assassinate him,
and then go to Saudi Arabia. So do you think that had more to do with it?
No, I think it was the neocons who convinced them that Saddam Hussein had nuclear capability and also had chemical weapons. Even though, if you recall, Menachem Begin, who was the Prime Minister of Israel at the time, took out a basic nuclear development in Iraq in 1981 at the beginning of the Iraq-Iranian War. It was a stupid thing because Iraq was the only wall against the expansion of Iran. As long as they were fighting each other or staring at each other in a hostile way, we didn't have to worry about it. But the whole Arab Spring, it is absolutely fractured any sense of organization that existed in the Middle East, which was phony to begin with.
Okay, so let's go back to the American energy independence. 40 years ago, after the Yom Kippur War, we had the Middle East embargoing us, cutting off our oil supplies.
That's right.
And we were sitting in lines for hours, and you can only buy gas on certain days.
Yeah, you remember it as a kid, you saw that.
Yeah, my grandfather owned a Texaco station, so yeah, I saw the whole thing. I was young, but I remember it. Now we're actually on the verge of energy independence, despite this administration and Greenpeace.
We were going downhill. The old-fashioned way of drilling for oil, the primary surface drilling, was just about gone. We were down to 3.5 million early in the first decade of this century. And although hydraulic fracturing, which is called fracking, as a sort of a name, an easy name, was around for about 50 years. It was not cost effective. It took oil at $90 a barrel in order to make it
cost effective.
To make it profit making. Well, right now, at this point, we only are producing 9% of what's available if we don't have guys like the jerk in New York, the governor,
Cuomo.
Yeah, who says, no, I'm not going to have it here. Or Brown in California, who hasn't said no, but the largest shale, which is where all this stuff is, where you have to go into in order to get both oil and natural gas, the Monterey Shale, which goes from San Luis Obispo in the north all the way to Kern County and Santa Barbara in the south, would make this state, it would be like Texas. we would have so much revenues and so much employment, we wouldn't have anything
How
to worry
far
about.
out into the ocean do you have to go? Because I know a lot of people are going to
Don't
say
have to go in the ocean.
tourism is going to be affected
No,
if
not
you
true.
have drilling rigs along the beach.
No, it's not. It's inland. It's not deep sea drilling. It's inland. The Permian, the Eagle Ford, the Marcellus. Those are not anywhere near the water. They
You're
are.
talking North Dakota now at this point, right?
Well, that's the Bakken Belt. That's the one that started about 8 years ago. That was the first one. Made a farm state into a golden state. But when your numbers were absolutely right on the money, about 10 million barrels a day by 1920.
2020.
All right, whatever. But I'm telling you, if we ever went whole hog on this thing, we could have 20 million barrels a day within another 15, 20 years. And we would be the supplier of oil to the whole rest of the world. It would give us awesome power, the likes of which we've never seen before. Not to mention the revenues that would be generated by doing.
You would have a counterbalance to the Middle East. You would have a counterbalance to Russia.
OPEC would be out of business if we did this.
And what would they have if they didn't have oil?
Nothing.
Sand.
Sand and Islamism.
Right.
That's about it.
Jihad and sand.
That's it. I mean, the thing is, the Saudis are the shrewdest people in the world. They are just about as bad as far as their habits of cutting off hands and heads as ISIS is, but they have a gentility involved where they kiss the hand of people that are meaningful, and where the president of the United States comes in and bows before the king, even Saud or the latest Saud that's running Saudi Arabia. But all those, if we had the kind of leadership that this country deserves, this country would be a golden empire, the likes of which the world has never seen.
And you have to think that a lot of this, like we've talked about guilt before, is guilt again, because why should we be so powerful when everybody else is struggling? Try to make it equality.
No, I call it the lowest common denominator. This president and Eric Holder and that gang around him, including his wife and his mother-in-law, whoever else lives in the White House.
Whose wife, Holder?
Pardon me?
The OB-GYN?
Like me, Eric married up. He and his wife, Dr. Sharon Malone, a nationally renowned OB-GYN, have been great friends to Michelle and me for years. OB-GYN.
No. No. What? Yes. What he would
Oh,
like.
the food Nazi, Michelle.
Oh, what he would like to see is the United States being just another country. We should just like the stupidity of what I call climatological puritanism. We can have the cleanest air in the world, and by the way, CO2 is necessary for trees to grow, but that's another point.
Yeah.
As long as China and India and the rest of the world don't go along with it, what good is it for us to try to do the work for the rest of the world? It doesn't mean anything.
It's almost like having a non-smoking section in a restaurant that allows smoking.
I think that's an excellent analogy. But it's more than that. The whole thing is a plot. Climatological purity is something for these moronic movie stars from Hollywood, this DiCaprio for one, or this Steyer, this billionaire. They have made up their mind that they don't want to see the oil line, the XL oil pipeline, going from the Athabasca region of Alberta in Canada all the way down to our refineries, which would generate more business for the refineries, more finished products for exports. No, they don't want to see that. They're more interested in having their way.
And the Canadians are smart. They're going to sell it to whoever's going to buy it. They don't need the XL pipeline.
The Canadians got a problem. They can't get it. They have to get it over mountains, and they've got aborigines that aren't happy. They got some of the same problems we do. They would prefer to do it because part of that line has already been built within the United States. So the thing is, yes, one of the reasons that they haven't told the United States to go fly a kite is because they themselves are having problems building a pipeline to
Do
Vancouver.
we need the pipeline to get the oil here? Can't we send it on rail cars?
Well, we're doing it, but it's a
Warren
very
Buffett's railways?
yeah, but it causes a lot of problems. It's very inefficient right now. A lot of accidents.
Well, I was just going to say, you would think that the greenies would have more problem with oil being shipped over thousands of miles of railway than through a secure pipeline. If they were really honest about the debate.
You're just putting me on because I know you're too smart to make a statement like that.
Well, if they were honest about their...
Well, they're not honest.
That's the point.
If they're honest, they are dishonest.
That's the point.
Do you think some of those Hollywood stars know even what the hell they're talking about?
No. If they didn't have somebody else's work to read from, they would be out of jobs too.
That's why that's why this area, the Coachella Valley, loves movie stars because they bring money in.
Yeah. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Our Global Outlook, Political Insider, as well as our Moment in History are coming up. If you want to watch the show or catch any segments that you missed, it's simple and free. You just go to our website, theworldreport.org. For the latest news updates, visit newsmax.com, or you can watch Newsmax TV on DirecTV 349 and Dish 223. We'll be right back.